As it turns out, you don't have to be a sub-3-hour marathon runner to enjoy the Edge Plus. Hi guys, it's Matt here. How's everyone doing? Is everyone doing okay today? I hope so. I definitely am, because I'm back with another review, and not just any review, but the review of a shoe that has been hyped like a lot in recent times. It's only been launched a few weeks ago, and it's not even available publicly. I'm going to get to that point as well in just a second. So the review today, I'm going to be reviewing the ASICS METASPEED EDGE Plus shoe, and also compare it to its predecessor, which is the version 1 of the ASICS METASPEED EDGE, which I again happen to have and been testing last year. And I've been one of the few journalists and people who were invited for the launch of the new METASPEED line. So people, I could ask questions to ASICS people about the shoes and what has changed, and then a bunch of other things. So I've got a bit more insight on about what the new shoes is about. And obviously I've been testing it for the last few weeks. I did want to give it a good few weeks to test, because I just wanted to make sure that I've got the right impression of the shoes, because these are not cheap shoes. So I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't recommend it just because it's like, oh my god, this is so fast, but only recommend it to people who can actually use it, which is something I'm going to get to very, very shortly. And yeah, obviously I'm going to compare it to its predecessor, which I got out of my cupboard and put on and had a good few runs in the last few weeks as well, just to see what the differences are. In this review, I will go through what has changed since the first iteration of the shoes, what is the technology behind these shoes, what are the things that I like about these shoes, of which there are a lot, what are the things that I maybe don't like quite as much, and as always, most importantly, whether you should buy it or not. Let's start at the beginning. So what is the METASPEED EDGE Plus? You might have heard that when ASICS created the METASPEED line, in a usual ASICS fashion, they have like a research institute in Japan, and they always try to find ways to make running shoes more tailored to runners and to help them run faster and more efficiently, etc., etc. And before they came up with the METASPEED line, they came to the conclusion that runners fall into one of two categories. They are either cadence runners or stride runners. Cadence runners increase their cadence when they try to run faster, so they take bigger steps, while stride runners take more steps as they run faster. So they don't leap, but they take smaller steps as they run forward. So they created the Edge and the Sky shoes, the ASICS METASPEED EDGE and the ASICS METASPEED Sky shoes, to cater for these runners. I, for whatever reason, been given the Edge twice now, which, to be honest, I don't mind. However, the METASPEED Sky has always been more popular because it has a softer foam. It has kind of more foam underfoot. The plate is positioned slightly differently, and then the sole geometry is also different. Anyhow, so the Sky has always been more popular among runners. Long distance kind of elite professional runners because of the foam and because of how it rolls and all that. However, the Edge is pretty good as well, in my opinion anyway, because it unless you're like a really, really fast runner, you won't be able to tell the difference between the two. So I'm not a sub-3 marathon runner at the time, right now anyway, for sure. So to make the most of these shoes, to actually experience the difference between the Edge and the Sky model, you would have to run really fast. If you're one of those fast runners, you might be better off with the Sky. On this event that I mentioned already, a lot of the runners, a lot of the elite runners who were trying to beat their PBs actually use the Sky model. So I think 90% of the runners use the Sky model. Oh, sorry, Sky Plus. METASPEED Sky Plus. That said, I'm not going to be talking about the Sky Plus today. I'm going to talk about the Edge Plus and obviously the Edge. Let's just go through the basic stats. So this is a shoe that is going to go on sale on the 14th of June in 2022 and will retail for a price of £225 or $250, depending on obviously where you are. There's been some supply issues with the first iteration of the shoe, so it kind of went out of stock pretty instantly and didn't come back into stock, which I wonder if it's some sort of like a marketing scheme, because the same thing happened with the Nike Vaporfly 4% back in the day, which was kind of like a limited edition shoe, and then the next percent came out and everyone was like, oh my god, the previous iteration was just out of stock all the time, so I have to buy the you know, the next percent, and as soon as it becomes available, and it was like super popular, and then people kept on buying it like after years and years, and you know, it kind of got to a point where just before the lockdown and the pandemic, you know, the Athletics Association said that, you know, there was like a big debate whether it's like mechanical cheating to wear the shoes, because a lot of people were breaking their PBs, and you know, a lot of races are dominated by the Vaporflies. So the Athletics Association came up with the rule that the stack height under the heel can be taller than 40 millimeters, which doesn't just apply to the Nike Vaporfly, but all the running shoes that people have, you know, people use on races. So that's kind of like a new rule. So no, like if the stack, like running shoes can have higher stack height than 40 millimeters, but if it's above 40 millimeters, you can't use them for racing, if that makes sense. Anyhow, the original METASPEED shoes kind of, you know, went out so pretty quickly, so not many people could actually buy them. You know, I can only hope that the new METASPEED Edge Plus and Sky Plus is going to be available a bit more. Hopefully, again, the supply chains are a bit better now. Anyhow, so it's £225 or $250. It will become available on the 14th of June, and the shoes have a stack height of 39 millimeters at the heel and 31 millimeters you know, at the front, so the drop is actually 8 millimeter, you know, if you do the math. Ideal for a racing shoe such as the Edge Plus. What has changed since the first iteration of the shoes? A lot, actually. When I first came in contact with the METASPEED range, I couldn't really understand the difference between the Edge and the Sky. It was like a bit like, oh, we created these two shoes, as in ASICS was saying that we created these two shoes, one is for this type of runner, the other one is for that type of runner. I was like, well, I don't even know which runner I am, you know? I was like, which one is for me? Again, I ended up with the Edge, and again, because I'm not an extremely fast runner either, like not as fast as, you know, I'm not a slow runner, you know, for the record, but I'm not like extremely fast either. So it doesn't really matter if I use the Edge or the Sky, you know, it's gonna have a similar effect on my running style. Anyway, so the original Edge and the original Sky were more similar than the Sky Plus and the Edge Plus, and it was a bit confusing for people, and it was a bit confusing for me as well. So the new shoes, the new iteration, the Edge Plus and the Sky Plus, address this. So they are drastically different in terms of weight, in terms of you know, distribution of foam underfoot, in terms of where the carbon plate is in the foam, and a bunch of other things. So a lot of things have been addressed. ASICS also improved the upper. It even improved the laces, which is crazy. The new ASICS METASPEED Edge Plus uses the FF Blast Turbo foam, which is half as light as standard EVA foams, or you know, nearly half as light. The carbon plate is also placed differently compared to the predecessor, and also the Sky Plus model. So the plate sits closer to the ground, so there is more foam between your foot and then the plate compared to, again, the Sky Plus model. Basically, your foot in the Edge Plus model, your foot sits in a lot of foam, and then the plate is kind of closer to the ground, which means that the sort of like the bounce back effect is in my opinion slightly muted compared to the Sky Plus, where you got the plate kind of closer to your foot. As well as that, so it has the same drop as the original one, the 8mm drop. However, strangely enough, and this is very much like an ASICS thing to do, so the new Edge Plus model is heavier than the original Edge. So this is 232 grams. This is a size 10, UK size 10 model, and then the original Edge is 217 grams. So let me do the math. It's 15 grams heavier, which is, I guess, significantly heavier. It's still super light, but it is heavier, which goes to show that it's not just about weight. So, like, ASICS wanted to create a shoe that's better than its predecessor, and that meant that they added more foam to make it, you know, to make it even faster, essentially. And you know, that required ASICS to add more foam, so they did, and they were like, well, if it comes at a cost of the shoe being a bit heavier than the predecessor, you know, let it be heavier. There's obviously an engineered mesh upper, which is, in my opinion, more comfortable than the one found on the Edge. And as I mentioned, the laces has also been changed. So whereas the original Edge had like kind of like a standard lace, the new Edge Plus has this, I'm not even sure how to call this. It's like a bit of like a serrated edge on the laces, which once tied, it stays in position, you know, better. So, you know, that's great. They also changed a bunch of other things. So they changed the shape of the heel counter. The heels are more protruding now, whereas on the previous one it was kind of like a bit flatter here. And also like the padding has been changed as well. So it's been all tweaked pretty significantly compared to the predecessor. And also the, sorry, it's a bit dirty, but like the outsole has been changed slightly as well. The rubber has been removed from even more areas, probably to reduce the weight because they added more foam. And interestingly enough, so what I noticed on the original Edge, you know, you got like a similar pattern than on the Edge Plus. However, the Edge Plus, they removed some foam from this area here, and so it's like there's like a bigger groove than it was on the Edge. And it kind of collects dirt if you go off-road, which I guess you shouldn't, but like you know, when I ran, I kind of went into like parks and stuff, not like fully muddy places, but like, you know, somewhere where you can, you know, get some mud into the shoes, and then they actually collected some mud there, so which I guess adds to the weight of the shoe, which I found interesting, which I never really experienced it with the original Edge. It's not a big issue. Obviously, you should use it on road, but just as a side note, that it kind of gets collected just here in the middle. Dirt. Interesting. Let's move on to running experience. How does it feel to run in the ASICS METASPEED EDGE Plus shoes? When I was at this event where they launched the METASPEED shoes, we were asking you know, the engineers about the shoes, what the difference is, and there was like a lot of stats about people, you know, ASICS front runners and top athletes, you know, their times, and then, you know, they obviously run the marathons like 2.5 hours, and then, you know, 2 hours 70 minutes, etc., etc. So one of the other journalists asked, how about people who, you know, run marathons like, you know, not under 3 hours? And then they were like, well, the shoes actually are for people who can run a marathon under 3 hours, so it's for fast runners. They were like, the people who will benefit from wearing the shoes, the METASPEED EDGE Plus or the Sky Plus, both of them are people who, you know, have the specific running styles and fast enough to make most of the, you know, the specific geometry of the shoes. Oh, speaking of geometry, I forgot to mention that the shape of the sole has also been changed since the Edge. It's been optimized for the runners, you know, who needs the Edge Plus shoes, and also the same happened to the Sky Plus as well. Anyhow, back to you know, sub-3-hour marathon runners. So the engineers, as I said, the people who benefit most from the shoes are people who can run a marathon under 3 hours. Essentially, long story short, I'm not those guys. So I was a bit like, will I be able to benefit from wearing the Edge Plus? I used to run, you know, I used to enjoy running in the Edge. It was a bit like, you know, most of the carbon racing shoes from, you know, a year or 2 years ago. It was like kind of like a bit tight. It was a bit firm. It was fine. You know, it makes you run, you know, fast, but it was also like kind of demanding to wear the shoes on the ankles. It was, you know, a bit like, you know, it was like a proper racing shoe. So when I put on the Edge Plus, I expected a similar running experience to that. However, as it turns out, you don't have to be a sub-3-hour marathon runner to enjoy the Edge Plus, because the carbon plate sits further away from your foot. I didn't even enjoy that bit, you know, like the whole propulsion bit that much. What I enjoyed the most was the foam under the heel, which I think is just great. The energy return from this foam is just amazing. So again, I was doing ones like, I was doing a couple of sprints obviously just to see how they perform very well, when I was running, you know, around 2.4, you know, I think it was 2 minutes and 21 seconds at some point when I could do a sprint in these shoes, and it was going real fast. Like, I mean, I was just like, I had to like allow some distance for myself to slow down. It was that fast. But then when I was running my usual, like, you know, 4 minute per K pace, it was actually refreshing to run in the shoes. I think that's the right word to use. The foam, as I landed on the heel, it kind of straight away pushed you forward, and there was like such a, like, it felt like it was preserving my legs, where without holding me back, right? It's not obviously, it's not a max cushion shoe. It's not a daily trainer. This is a speedy racing shoe. However, because of this mechanism and because of this, you know, because of the softness of the foam and then the great energy returns, it was brilliant to run in these shoes. I was super surprised because I was like, not only it makes me faster than usual. My Garmin was saying that like, oh, you know, your running performance is like +4 or whatever. I was like, hey, hang on a second, you know, where did that come from? My legs felt fresher by the end of the run. I went for like a 10K and I was like, you know, I could go for another 10 probably in these shoes without like killing myself. And again, from a racing shoe, that was pretty good. I was like, this is something different. And I was like, so I'm not a fast runner, you know, again, not a sub-3-hour marathon runner. I am not, you know, I'm not a person who's gonna be running like a 30K training session at like 3 minutes per K. However, even I can benefit from wearing these shoes. Again, they're super expensive and, you know, probably not for everyone because you would want to use these for racing. I think it's actually a pretty good competitive to the Alphafly and the Adidas Adizero 2 Pro 2. The way ASICS changed the shoes makes them really, really good, in my opinion anyway. Again, because it's such an expensive shoe and because you're supposed to use it for racing mainly to preserve the foam so it performs well when it needs to perform well when you race, it's hard to recommend it to everyone because this is an expensive running shoe for a very specific purpose. However, if you're one of those people who attend races very often and have a disposable income to buy a shoe specifically for maybe some of the fastest training days and for racing, this is a very good alternative to, you know, the Nikes and the Adidases. Not sure about the Sky Plus. Again, whether you should buy the Sky Plus or the Edge Plus, I haven't used the Sky Plus that much. I did manage to give them a try. Again, it's a bit softer. Some people, well, most people say that for longer distances, like if you want to, you know, like a full marathon distance, maybe the Sky Plus is a better option. The Edge Plus is maybe maybe better for like half marathon distance. If you can't get hold of the Sky Plus, and if you're not a super fast runner, the Edge Plus is still a very good option for those people. So if you want to buy these shoes, I'd recommend, you know, going up on the ASICS' website and having a look on the 14th of June because you know, I don't know about availability and how available they're gonna be. As for sizing, just one last note. As for sizing, it is true to size. I have a wide feet and I'm a size 10, and this is a size 10 Edge Plus, and it fits perfectly. So, you know, for a racing shoe, so it's obviously slightly tighter, but not super tight. They're definitely not as tight as the original Edge. If you like that sort of stuff, the Edge Plus, you know, METASPEED Edge Plus is a brilliant shoe, so you should definitely buy it. That was it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review. There's more reviews coming, as always, very, very soon. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Cheers, guys. Bye.